Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game tape.
Donuts.
Oh, yeah!
You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Oh, hey, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
More Stories Podcast with my man.
Here we
Flav.
go. Yes, sir.
Eating welfare, turkey out the can.
I can't do nothing for you, man.
Go lean on Shell's answer, man.
That's right.
Dude, I'm so happy to see you. Your manager said your phone's never on silent, and you were like, hold up, we had a false start. You're like, let me get this phone on silent.
Yeah, it's on silent today because I'm on a podcast with Jay. What more can we say?
Dude, I saw full disclosure, when I met you, it was at Billie Jean King's Hollywood Star on the Walk of Fame ceremony.
Right.
I don't get starstruck often, but I couldn't talk the first 3 minutes because you were right behind me. And you looked like you just came from a polo match. You had that salmon shirt. You looked nice. You were dressed up. And then when I started talking to you, I'm like, oh, this guy's my crew. This is family. This is my kind of guy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How do you know Billie Jean King? How does that happen?
Well, I first met Billie Jean. First of all, I've always known a Billie Jean King, from when I was young, you know what I'm saying? And I used to watch her play tennis. And I mean, she was the GOAT. Do you hear me? When I say she was the GOAT, I mean she was the GOAT, she's back in the days with my boy Arthur Ashe. You know what I'm saying?
How did you meet Billie Jean King?
Well, I met Billie Jean King over in Paris. Because, I sponsor the United States Olympic women's water polo team and the men's water polo team too. You know what I'm saying? So while I was over in Paris, I went to the floor exercises because I wanted to see Simone Biles and Jordan Childs win their gold medals. And I got to see them win their gold medals. And at the same time, Billie Jean King was there and she wanted to meet me. So we tried to bump heads at the floor exercises building and everything, but we didn't get to do it. So we text each other, and the next day I went down to the hotel where she was staying at. And I said, I texted and I said, listen, I'm sorry I didn't get to meet you today, but wherever you are, let me know. And me and my family, we're going to come and see you. So the next day we went and I got to see Billie Jean King and I got to meet her.
And her wife, Ilana.
And her wife, Alana.
They have the exact same haircut.
Yeah. And let me tell you something, man. It was one of the most epic meetings, man, that I ever had in my life, man. And Billie Jean King, man, she's one of the realest, one of the sweetest. It
makes sense that you guys would be passionate together because your entire careers are built on progress. Yeah. And moving something forward. Yeah. Hers was women's rights, but she bled out into other rights. And Public Enemy coming up was listen, you guys hit my radar around 88, but 87 I think was the first album. 87.
86 was really the first album.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Bum Rush the Show?
Bum Rush the Show. We made that album in 1986.
So 86, 87, Nation of Millions in 88, and then Fear of a Black Planet just blew my mind open. That to me, I remember doing stand-up comedy, Flav, in Greenwich Village, and I would listen to that all day, and I would go on stage, and I would work. I would have some routine where I would have to work. I would tell the audience, you guys got to listen to Fear of a Black Planet. It's like the White Album for the Beatles.
No doubt.
That's what it is for hip hop for me. It opens on an instrumental, which had never happened before that I know of in hip hop. How do you guys sit down and decide which tracks go where? Is that you and Chuck? Is that you, Chuck, and Terminator X? Is Griff involved? Sister Soul?
Well, it was all a team effort. You know what I'm saying? The Bomb Squad. My partner Hank Shockley, Keith Shockley, Eric Vietnam Sadler. You know what I'm saying? we always was in the studio just putting stuff together.
You never left the studio. It was like 7 years. You were never out of the studio. From 86 to 94, like you never left.
We constantly stayed in the studio, you know what I'm saying? I mean, when it comes down to the first album, Yo Bum Rush the Show, as you mentioned, me and Chuck, we wrote that album in a U-Haul truck when we were working for Chuck's father. You know what I'm saying?
Go on.
And we were delivering furniture for interior designers and decorators. You know what I'm saying? So me and Chuck, you know what I'm saying, would ride around every day, you know what I'm saying, and listening to tracks and everything, and we would write, and not only that, but that's also, when sampling was allowed around that time, and we're the first group really to put a whole album out with samples. We started the sample thing.
You know who the last was? Beastie Boys, Paul's Boutique.
Yeah.
Paul's Boutique, it was like there was way too much money flying out the window. Like they bled it dry and they had to put a stop to it. They sampled everything on that.
Yeah, but we sampled everybody.
Yeah.
We sampled everything, you know what I'm saying? And right after Yo Bum Rush the Show, I mean, that thing really blew up. It blew us out of the water. You know what I'm saying? And back in those days, right, we used to wear stopwatches as a fad. Stopwatches was the fad. So one day, this girl came through our projects, right? Because we love playing the dozens, talking about your moms, your pops, the big hole in your roof, the big hole in your couch, the roaches in your crib and all of that, you know what I'm saying? So this girl came through our projects as we were playing the dozens in the hallway, and she had this box of shower clocks that she stole from a place called Fortune Off, right?
I remember Fortune Off.
Fortune Off, yeah.
Willowbrook Mall, let's go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, dude.
And it was out in, like towards Westbury and stuff, right? So anyway, my boy Son of Berserk, TA the DJ, Tony Allen, one of my best friends, he took the stopwatch off of my neck and he put this shower clock around my neck. Everybody started laughing. Ah. So back in those days, if you dared Flavor Flav to do something, Flav would do it. You know what I'm saying? So they dared me to wear this clock on stage for a show.
Yeah, say less.
So we went to open up for the Beastie Boys in Passaic, New Jersey, 1986. I'll never forget this. And I wore the clock. The next day, we were on the front page of the New York Times, New York Post, Daily News, Newsday. And the look of the clock was dope.
Yeah, it was.
So we decided to keep that. You know what I'm saying? And if you look back at some of our early Public Enemy photos, Chuck wore a clock too.
Really?
But after the shows, Chuck would take his off. Yeah, I would always keep mine on. You know what I'm saying? So one day, maybe a year or two later, Chuck stopped wearing his clock, and my partner Hank Shockley said to me, "Yo, man, you need to take that clock off, man. It's old, man. It's being played out." I'm like, "Man, fuck that, dude. I'm not taking my clock off for nobody." You know what I'm saying? In the whole nine, and I just kept wearing it all the way to this day right now. And it made a big statement, you know?
But how amazing is that in the world of hip hop to have a look that you're the actual only guy? Like, it's not whack.
Yeah. Right.
And by the way, Kyle can attest, I don't want you to think I'm like code switching. I'll use words like whack with my sons.
Come on, hey, yo, man.
Do you hate that when you're with like a white guy and they're like, "Hey, bro, bro"?
Hey, yo, check this out. First of all, man, we was the creators of the language. You know what I'm saying?
That's what we were talking about in the lobby on the shrimp.
So when it comes down to whack, and this could never be whack. I never
could be whack.
You know what I'm saying? I always know what whack is. You know what I'm saying? In the whole nine.
But you guys got the regional stuff too. Like we were talking before the podcast in the lobby about, you said something like, "Yeah, that's on the shrimp," and I'm like, "Wow, I haven't heard that since my boy T Money,
right? When
I was on MTV, because he was a Long Island guy." And you're like, "Yo, I know T Money."
Man, T Money, that's my guy. first of all, man, one of my good friends, man, and
sweet guy.
And not only that, but I've known T Money way before we became Public Enemy. Back in the days when we used to all be mobile DJs. Back in the days, T Money was with my boy Dr. Dre from Yo MTV Raps, and they had a group called the Original Concept Crew. Me, my partner Chuck D, Hank Shockley, Keith Shockley, we were called Spectrum City, and we used to do radio shows at Adelphi University. WBAU was our station and everything. And we got up in there through my boy, Mr. Bill Stephanie, who used to, work at Def Jam too, you know what I'm saying? But Bill Stephanie is the one that got us up on BAU. You know what I'm saying? So Original Concept, one day, when Bill Stephanie was working at Def Jam, Original Concept crew, Dr. Dre, T Money, and the crew, they made a record called Knowledge Me, man, and they put that out on Def Jam. So at that time, we still wasn't Public Enemy yet.
Still driving a U-Haul truck.
We still riding around in the U-Haul truck, writing our first album, Yo Bum Rush, the show and all of that. But at BAU, our radio station, we used to have people coming up, to the radio station, I got to mention, too, on BAU, we also had a radio show called The Spectrum City Mix Hour and One Half. You know what I'm saying? The Mix Hour and a Half. I was so funny, so hilarious, so energetic, they decided to give me my own radio show on WBAU. And the name of my show was called the MC DJ Flavor Show. And I would and my show was crazy. I would walk around with a big old bowling ball bag full of tapes. You know what I'm saying? I would collect tapes from everybody in the neighborhood, and then I would play their tapes on the station, long as it didn't have cursing in it and everything, right. So that's what my show was about. And my show.
So in the neighborhood, if a guy had a tape, he'd come to Flav because he knew Flavor Flav had a show and be like, "Yo, put me on."
Yeah.
So you were the man.
And I was playing everybody in the neighborhood's tapes all over my radio show. You know what I'm saying? My show got big and popular.
Yeah, of course it did.
Next thing you know, it started blowing out 98.7 KISS. I was blowing out WBLS. I was blowing out a lot of radio stations just for an hour and a half. You know what I'm saying? In the whole nine. We used to have the Beastie Boys come through our show. LL Cool J used to come through our show. Run DMC. We even gave Fat Boys their first interview. First radio interview. You know what I'm saying? In the whole nine. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So one day, I came up to the studio and I hear, I'm like, what in the hell is Chuck doing in there, man? I opened up the studio door, Jay, and back in those days, we had cassette tapes.
Yeah.
Chuck had the cassette tape coming out of the deck, around the microphone stand, back into the cassette deck. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to let you know that was the first loop ever. Chuck created the loop, man.
Really?
I don't care what nobody say.
Yeah, I believe
Chuck is the one that created the first loop.
Wow.
A lot of people don't even know that, but that first loop shit, no, that came from Chuck D. He's the first one to ever do it. So I told him this story about this guy named Ron D. Whaley from the Play Hard crew in Roosevelt, right? He wanted to battle Chuck. So I told Ron, Ron said, yo, what's your partner Chuck, man? He swear he nice, man. I want to battle him. I said, well, listen, Chuck don't battle, we don't battle people, but we'll set you up for battle in the whole nine. So I told Chuck the story, and Chuck was like, yo, put that story on the beginning of this tape. Put that story on the beginning of this tape. So then that's when I said, yo, Chuck, Bust the move, man. Now, I was on my way up here to the studio, and this brother stopped me and asked me, yo, what's up with your boy Chucky D? He swear he nice. I said, yo, the brother don't swear he nice. He knows he's nice, you know what I'm saying? So, Chuck, I got a feeling you're turning into a public enemy, man. Now, remember that line you was kicking to me on the way out to L.A. Laurelton, Queens, when we was in the car on our way to the shop? Well, yo, right now, kick the bass for them brothers and let them know what goes on. Chuck says, what goes on? Well, I'm all in. Put it up on the board. Another rapper shot down from the mouth that roared. 1, 2, 3, down for the count. The result of my lyrics, oh yes, no doubt. I'm like, yo! Woo! Woo! It blew me out. It blew me out, right? So we played that tape on our radio show, because that was a tape we were making for the radio show.
Oh,
so
man,
one day, DMC and Jam Master Jay comes up to the radio station looking for Chuck, and they wanted to put this Public Enemy #1 this tape out on Def Jam Records. So they's like, "Where's Chuck? Where's Chuck?" So I took Jam Master Jay and DMC over to the studio. Jam Master Jay was trying to talk Chuck into putting Public Enemy #1 on Def Jam Records. Now, at that time, Def Jam really still wasn't doing all that great and giving the artists their just due. You know what I'm saying? So by the time Run DMC went platinum, LL Cool J went platinum, Beastie Boys went platinum, now Def Jam had enough money, you know what I'm saying? And Chuck said, okay, I'm down. We'll put this record out. We all went down to Def Jam. Chuck signed the contract. I went to sign the contract, and they was like, no, we don't want him. We only want you. Chuck was like, well, listen, if I don't have him, this ain't going to work. So it was Chuck D that forced me down Def Jam's throat.
Thank God.
And do you know what? That was the best thing that could have ever happened for Def Jam, because I ended up becoming the mascot. I ended up becoming the mascot. And not only that, but, you know, my sayings, because I was the first one on records ever to really be putting out the slang, the street slang. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And the whole nine. And when I came out with that phrase, yeah, boy, that right there made me the most sampled voice in the history of music. Still to this day, nobody's voice has been sampled more than mine's. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's. And y'all can look it up. Y'all can look it up. Y'all won't find anybody's voice, the voice that's been sampled more than mine's. Nobody's voice has been sampled more than mine's. Nobody.
You got me thinking, because that's a great story, dude.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I don't think people realize this. The DJ was the guy, and the MC, the rap guy, was like the second guy. Like back in the day, it was always DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Right.
Eric B and Rakim. So when do you think that changed to when the MC passed the DJ, as far as like who was the most important guy? Because it started at the parties, right?
Yeah, well, you know, it was always a thing to where, you know, the DJ, you know, would be playing music, and the guy that was on the mic would be the person to hype up the party.
Yeah.
That's how it all started. You know what I'm saying? With DJs and MCs. You know what I'm saying? And when we were Spectrum City, you know what I'm saying? I was a DJ too. But then I would always get on the mic and I'll be like, come on, all you wallflowers, get up off the wall. Come on, y'all, let's have a ball. You know, we try to get everybody up out their seats and get them on the dance floor to start partying. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when we started with the throw your hands in the air, wave them like you just don't care. If you want to rock shock, turn the mother out. Everybody say, oh yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's where all of that comes from. So when we became Public Enemy, you know, Chuck was the lead lyricist. Yes, I was the second lead lyricist, but also my job was to hype up the crowd.
Yeah.
You know, to keep the crowd hype. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that I've always done very well.
You're hyping me up right now. I'm fucking hyped up, bro.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, but I did so good, I was even hyping myself up.
Yeah, I'm bringing you to the gym with me tomorrow.
Yo, man, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, by me hyping up these parties, man, and hyping up these crowds all of these years, that's how I that's how I gained the title of the original hype man.
But I don't even know
nobody was doing it like me.
Who is it? I don't even know any other hype men. Who are other hype men in hip hop? Like who?
Okay, well check this out.
Put me up on game.
Check this out. Me put you up on game. Okay, Flavor Flav, first original hype man. The second Flavor Flav of the rap music business was my boy Bushwick Bill from the Ghetto Boys. The third hype man, the third Flavor Flav of the business hype man was Busta Rhymes from Leaders of the New School.
Leaders of the New School, yeah. Yeah.
Then came Wu-Tang. The fourth hype man, Flavor Flav of the business, was my cousin, ODB, Old Dirty Bastard.
Are you really cousins? Because I saw that in your...
Yes,
it says you're also cousins with RZA, GZA.
Right. Me, RZA, GZA, and ODB. Yeah, we're cousins. You know, we our family is Cuffies. The Cuffies from Long Island. You know what I'm saying? Long Island, Brooklyn.
Wild.
Yeah, but we're blood cousins. Those are my blood cousins. So yes, I have blood cousins in Wu-Tang Clan.
I would say Wu-Tang, nobody changed the game until Wu-Tang. Like Public Enemy changed the genre. Yeah. And then it was like it kind of floated for a while. And then I think Wu-Tang's that other one. Who
was the fifth? Who else changed it? Who was the fifth original hype man and of the business, the Flavor Flav of the business? My boy Spliff Star from Flip Mode.
We're going back to Busta Rhymes' crew, right?
Yup.
Yeah.
Yup.
If you weren't a hip-hop artist, what would your career have been? Because you went to culinary school.
Yeah, I got my culinary certificate back in 1978, you know what I'm saying? And not only that, but I used to also, was the head cook at, a place called Turtle Hook Elementary School back in the day. You know what I'm saying? In Uniondale, Long Island. I've also read.
The kids ate good?
I also was.
Hold on. Did the kids eat good? You hook them up?
Man, the kids ate good.
Okay.
And then also, I was the head chef of the old Nassau County Courthouse, which was on the corner of Old Country Road and Franklin Avenue. They had the old courthouse, and downstairs in the basement, I was the chef there. And then I also did some chefing over in the main courthouse too. You know what I'm saying? I ran restaurants and everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I saw
after
you play.
After that, then I got my Class 2 license, and I became a bus driver. And I used to, drive buses. I was a school bus driver. You know what I'm saying? For a company called Century, and also for a company called JD. Back in the day, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Did you like it? You seem like you love whatever you do.
Yeah, I used to take kids from West Hempstead to Holy Trinity High School in Hicksville. I used to.
Any wild fights on those buses?
Nah, it wasn't no fighting on my buses. I ain't play that. I ain't play none of that. You know.
That's
what I'm
why
saying?
I asked.
Yeah.
I can't imagine guys getting loose with flavor at the wheel.
And I was going to try to get I was going to try to get a job just driving the regular buses and everything, you know what I'm saying?
Like city job.
Yeah.
With benefits.
But around that time, then, we started breaking in the records and everything, and I broke away from school bus driving.
When you mentioned battle rap, I think, give me your battle rap Mount Rushmore.
When it comes down to battle rap, I'm going to tell you something. The best battle rapper to me right now, to this day, and he's my favorite, is this guy that I'm wearing here on my shirt.
Wow.
Eminem. can't nobody fuck with Eminem. I don't care what nobody's saying. The reason why is because anybody that ever battled M took him out. I never heard anybody take Eminem out yet to this day. So if nobody could take you out, then that means you're the best. You know what I'm saying? Just like when it came down to boxing or something, you know what I'm saying? You hold a belt, right? Mm-hmm. If nobody beats you, hey, you're the best.
But I think there's another guy.
Somebody takes your belt.
But I can name a guy that nobody took out. But if I'm wrong, you can tell me I'm wrong. Before Eminem, KRS-One. I mean,
yeah, nobody ever took out KRS-One,
and he ended careers.
Huh?
He just took guys out of the business.
Yeah, he sure did. Come on, man, the Blast Master. That's the Blast Master, KRS-One. And not only that, but it was KRS-One. My first rap show ever. Chuck and Hank took me to see what a rap show was like, and it happened to be KRS-One. You know what I'm saying?
So great live.
Yeah, DJ Scott LaRock and all of
Rest
that.
in
You
peace.
know what I'm saying? Boogie Down Productions.
Boogie Down Productions.
Boogie Down
will always
Productions,
get
yeah.
paid. Take
You know
the
what I'm saying?
wackest song and make it better. Remember to put us into your heart skin and let me begin
to make it right. Rhyming.
Boogie Down Productions.
Yes, sir.
Bro, I got...
you hyping me up right now, bro.
I got Come to the Teacher from By Any Means Necessary on my workout shuffle. Like, easy, man. It's impossible to take out Boogie Down Productions. See?
That's right. Could nobody take out the Blast Master KRS-One. And not only that, but
who wins between?
But check this out. Blast Master KRS-One came up with one of the best productions ever, and to this day, people still talk about it. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Self-destruction. You're headed for self-destruction. Yeah, that's right. KRS-One, this melody, they put that together.
You know what I hear sampled by him the most is got myself an Uzi, got my brother a 9. I hear that in so many different songs.
No doubt.
Got myself an Uzi and my brother a 9. With 1.5 pair of pants. You ain't cool. Like my man So who wins in a rap battle between Eminem and KRS-One?
They've never battled.
I think the world would just come undone if. No, I know they never have. But who you got?
They've never battled.
Who you got?
I got both of them. And the reason why is because they're both my favorite. I'm sorry.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? They're both my favorite. I don't have favoritism between KRS-One and Eminem because they're both the GOATs. They're both the best, and nobody's ever took them out.
KRS used to do free shows in Tompkins Square Park when I was living in the Lower East Side, just on random Sundays. And like, there was no Instagram, there was no Twitter, there was no cell phones.
None of that.
You'd have to be at the club to hear, yo, tomorrow at the band shell, KRS is putting it on. And so you'd get there at noon. He would literally take the subway down, come on stage, and just melt your face.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe what I was, for free. He just loved rapping.
That was KRS-One.
But when you talk about being the mascot, I'm going to go back on that because I remember when I listened to Nation of Millions, it opens with that you on stage in London. London, England, consider yourself warm, you know.
Yeah, well, that was Professor Griff saying that.
Oh, that was Griff, that wasn't you.
Yeah, I'm the one that said, yo, bring that beat back, bring that beat back.
Yeah. But do you know how important that was to me, a guy getting into show business? It was like, oh, I could play London? Like, if I do show business, like, these guys are from Long Island. Like, I'm from Jersey. They're just like me. They're just guys. We're just dudes.
Yeah.
Like, these guys, like, I used to listen to that, you know, the old Walkman headphones that always fucking fell off.
Well, let me tell you something, man. The first time that we ever went over to London, I was blown away because this was my first time ever leaving the United States. So London was the first place ever out of the United States that I've ever been to. And that's at the time when DJ battling was the shit. And they had the DMC championships, the DMC DJ battling championships back in those days. And we went over to London. And this is when Rebel Without a Pause was hot. We had just came out with Rebel Without a Pause. We went over there to perform this record, and backstage, I got so starstruck. Who did I get to meet? James Brown.
Oh my God!
And he had on a brown glove too. I'm dead serious.
One?
Yeah, one glove. It was only one glove. He had on one brown glove.
The shaking hand.
Yup, shaking hands and all of that. But it was James Brown, and I got to meet James Brown back in those days, you know. And
and he knew who you were, I bet.
He didn't know who I was.
Oh, he didn't know who you were.
He ain't know nothing about Public Enemy or none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I remember.
Why was James Brown backstage at a DJ battle?
Because James Brown. Come on. First of all, James Brown was like the most sampled person ever.
And you guys
records.
rapped about that often.
Yeah. He was the most sampled on records ever. You know what I'm saying? In the whole nine. But when I came through, I ended up beating out James Brown though. You know what I'm saying? I remember when we went over to London for the first time to really perform, you know, and when I'm usually the last one out on stage, you know. Professor Griffin, S1Ws, they come out, you know, Terminator X is already out there. Professor Griffin and S1Ws come out, and after a while, then Chuck comes out. And everybody's like, where's Flav? Where's Flav? I was always that main attraction, right?
Yeah.
I came out on the stage last, and I looked at the audience. Everybody in the audience had clocks, and I'm like, oh, shit, I did this? It was crazy. It was phenomenal. I had the whole world wearing clocks, man.
Were the audiences bigger in Europe than they were in the United States at that time? That seems to be a theme with black artists.
And plus, you know, our European following was more of a bigger following than our United States following too. You know what I'm saying? See, let me tell you something about people here in the United States. You know what I'm saying? When we listen to records, we were mostly listening for the beat. You know what I'm saying? In the whole nine. Some of us would listen to the rap and see what was going on within the record. But we were mostly music, mostly beat. Over in Europe, they will take your record and they will dissect it. You know, the music and the rap. You know what I'm saying? So that was the difference between United States and England. You know what I'm saying?
How did you get decided how many songs you get to actually rap on? Like Fear of a Black Planet, you actually had like the hit of 911.
Well, there was a lot of songs that Chuck wrote, and I just took parts to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In the whole nine, just like even Fight the Power, for instance. You know what I'm saying? There were certain parts that, you know, I just took. You know what I'm saying? In the whole nine. Chuck wrote the record. You know what I'm saying? And all of my parts, I wrote. You know what I'm saying? Outside of some of the parts that I took from Chuck. You know what I'm saying? Just say go back to Yo Bum Rush the Show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everything that I said came from me.
Oh, I know. I didn't doubt that.
Even like Sophisticated.
Yeah.
Sophisticated bitch. You know what I'm saying? You know, all my parts I wrote. You know what I'm saying?
Of course
Welcome
you wrote
to the
it.
Terror Dome. All my shit I wrote. You know what I'm saying? And I mimicked Scarface. Yo, who put this shit together, huh?
That's
me.
who.
That's who.
Yeah.
Man, who I trust?
Nobody.
You know, me. That's who. Who the fuck you trust, man?
Flav, when you said Welcome to the Terror Dome, right away in my mind, I see Mike Tyson coming into the ring.
And that's the record that Mike Tyson always came out on. Welcome to the Terror Dome.
And this is when Mike was just making guys into soup.
Yeah.
So what, can you even describe what that's like when the greatest, the scariest, greatest, Shakespearean greatness?
Hey, man, it was an honor, man, first of all, man, that Mike Tyson would be coming out on that record, you know what I'm saying?
And it was perfect.
But I first met Mike way back in the day. I forgot where we were. But I remember us going to Cleveland, Ohio. We had to perform at a place called Front Row Theater. Mike Tyson came down to our show. And that's when Mike Tyson was living right outside of of Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? He had an 88-acre residence.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He had his own gas station on his land.
That's living.
This is the first time I ever been in a house this big to where it had his own indoor swimming pool. Man, Mike had about 47 cars in the garage, man. I mean, man, Mike was doing it, man.
Yeah.
But we became good friends though, you know what I'm saying? And also when Heavy D had this record out called You Can't See What I Can See, and they sampled me. You're blind, baby. You're blind from the facts. When we went to make that video, when Heavy D was making that video over at Universal, I went and got Mike Tyson. We was hanging out then. Me, Mike Tyson, and a whole crew of us, man. And I took all of us over there. You know what I'm saying? The Universal Studios. You know what I'm saying? And Mike was with me. You know what I'm saying? During that video. But we used to hang out, man, and we used to be like, I don't know, maybe 25 cars deep.
Mm.
Yeah.
If you were a fighter, what would your walk-up music be?
If I was a fighter, what would my walk-up music be? That's a real good question. You know what I'm saying? Probably Public Enemy #1, and the reason why is because I know I'd be winning shit, and I'd be the world's public enemy. I guess, I don't know.
When you guys, I'm gonna go back to Fear of a Black Planet. There's several instrumentals on that album. I just never heard that before. I just never heard a hip hop group come out with an album and then take a break from the rhymes and just put out an instrumental. Like, keep this off your fucking charts. That's hard.
Yeah.
Is that discussed as a group?
Nah, it was just something that was
It's
decided
so
to be,
good.
Was just decided to be done, you know what I'm saying? And that was mostly Chuck and Hank.
Yeah.
Because me, I was always out in the streets, man, doing my thing.
Is there anybody that was almost in Public Enemy that didn't make the cut? Or not make the cut, but just like, because how Chuck was like, no, I can't sign this contract without Flav. Was there any like guys just outside the picture frame that were almost, so it's just you and Chuck from day one?
Nope, just me and Chuck.
And when does Professor Griff, Sister Soldier, like when did they come on?
Well, when we were mobile disc jockeys back in the days and we were Spectrum City, you know, we used to hire Professor Griff and you know, his boys as security. So that's where the S1Ws came from, security of the first world. You know, Griff was the security. You know what I'm saying? So we added that. I guess Chuck and Hank decided to add the S1Ws to the group. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it became, you know, Chuck D, Flavor Flav, Professor Griff, and the S1Ws, and DJ Terminator X.
Terminator X. It was almost like when I see the S1Ws on stage, visually it's the same as like Malcolm X and the Muslims, like how they stood uniform. They stood in a row. They were very like straight up, right, strong, like wrought iron. Was that what it was supposed to look like?
That's
to like a white guy from the suburbs.
That's what it was supposed to portray. You know what I'm saying? See, the thing that made up the combination of Public Enemy was, you know, Chuck and them, you know, with their Muslim way of life. You know what I'm saying? Not drinking.
Chuck's a Muslim?
Not smoking.
Is Chuck a Muslim?
No, but we were living that they were living that lifestyle.
Assalamu alaikum, bro.
Yeah, they were living that lifestyle, you know, in the whole nine.
Yeah.
Chuck, Professor Griff, S1Ws, DJ Terminator X, and them, they always portrayed the side of life of not drinking, not smoking. You know what I'm saying? And no drugs.
You went the other way with it.
Me, I was the only one in the group that drank, that smoked, that did drugs and everything. You know what I'm saying?
But who would you do them with if you're with these guys that are square?
I was doing them with my friends that wasn't friends with them.
All right. Did that ever was that ever like a real problem within the group?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure it was. You know what I'm saying? Because I was the only opposite.
Huh.
So
Well, yeah,
I'm
I
the
guess,
one.
yeah.
So I'm the one that really got all of the backlash. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you
Word up.
earned it
From
yourself,
Chuck,
right?
From Griff, from Hank, I mean, you know, everybody. I would always get the backlash. You know what I'm saying? In the whole nine, but yet they kind of let me be that way because you know it's the combination of the group. You know,
Yeah.
and we were so hot. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't want that to change. You know what I'm saying?
Did it ever affect your
If so
performance on
happened
stage?
that I wasn't doing drugs and I wasn't this first street guy on records and the whole shit, then Public Enemy would have been boring as hell.
I don't
That shit
disagree.
would have been boring as hell. So a lot of people, when they came to these Public Enemy shows, yeah, they came to see Chuck and SMWs and them, but they was coming to see Flav.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I was the one that they can identify with. Because everybody can identify with that street life. And I was that, I'm going to say it, I was the first street nigga on records.
Yeah.
The first street nigga.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Word up. And see, when it comes down to that word nigga, you know what I'm saying, which is called the N-word, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people, they don't really even know the meaning of it or you know, and the whole nine, you know. Some people use it out of context. You know what I'm saying? In the whole nine, but it's not a negative thing.
Well, not when you say it, for sure.
When we use it.
I'll pass on saying it.
Yeah, but it's not a negative thing when we use it. I'm the one that made the record. I don't want to be called yo nigga. Nigger. Nigga. Everybody saying it, everybody playing it. Load it on your scale, cause everybody weighing it. Toby said, yo, I be good nigga. Nigga get a shovel, nigga be good digger. I don't care how small or bigger, but I don't want to be called yo nigga.
How do you memorize all these rhymes?
So listen. So nigga can be a positive thing, but then it also could be a negative thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It depends on how you use it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When we use it, it's like, yo, what's up, my nigga? How you doing, my nigga? Yo, that's my nigga right there. Now, all of that's positive. But when you got somebody that comes through and say, you fucking nigger, now that's the negative part right there. And we don't ride with that shit, you know what I'm saying? With the racism shit and all of that shit. We don't, you know what I'm saying? And to this day, I still use the word. You know what I'm saying? But I use it in the right context.
Do you remember the comedian Patrice O'Neal?
Huh?
Do you remember the comedian Patrice O'Neal? Big black guy, died of diabetes.
I haven't seen it.
He's the first guy to call me that.
Oh, yeah? He's the first guy that ever called you a nigga?
You like this? Yeah. Like we were in a radio show.
You got white niggas too.
All right, well,
you got black niggas and there's white niggas too.
I'm trying to get off the topic, Flav. Bear with me. How do you get on the Surreal World?
Huh?
The Surreal World. Like here's the thing. Flav's a guy, it's a good place to be professionally. It's like you called it the mascot. It's like the comic relief, the hype man, but also your whole career, you lend a legitimacy to everything you show up at. So like the Surreal World, it's like, man, I don't give a shit about this guy, that guy. And the whole concept of the show, it's like, these are people past their prime and we're going to throw them in a house together. But then you get Flavor Flav and then all of a sudden I got to watch it.
No doubt.
Because my man Flav's on it.
No doubt.
So when you go into that, what's that like? Like that's living with all these like celebrities. That's how crazy was that?
Well, let's start here. You know, when I got out of Rikers Island towards the end of 2002, you know, it was my partner, Hank Shockley. He said, yo, man, why don't you go to LA, man? See what you could do there. You know what I'm saying? In the whole nine. So I was living in the Bronx at that time.
Boogie down.
So I took a trip out to LA. And I said to myself, I'm not going to go back to New York until I get on TV or until I get in movies or something. I'm not going back. You know what I'm saying? And also, I premeditated myself living in Los Angeles and Las Vegas. So when I got out to L.A. and at the end of 2002 and everything, there was a guy, my boy, oh man,
Who the fuck is that?
Come on. See, now I'm having a brain fart. Jinx. My boy, Jinx.
Okay.
Who was Ice Cube's DJ, because there was Ice Cube and Sir Jinx.
Yep.
Right? Okay, well, Sir Jinx was living down the street from the apartment where I was staying at. Me and Jinx was always good friends. You know what I'm saying? Way back in the day when we first put Ice Cube's album together, America's Most Wanted. You know what I'm saying? And me and Ice Cube had a record on his album called Only Out for One Thing. Got 2 peas in the bucket, motherfuck it. You either flavor it or you chuck it. So kiss my ass and suck a DIC. K stands for kill, so don't fuck with me. Fuck that lady in the bed. I missed that pussy and I bust the spread. Then I tried it again in a covered wagon. The bottom fell out and her ass started dragging. I fucked that lady in the field of grass. Missed that pussy and I bust my ass. Then I fucked that lady high in the tree. The baby came out and said, Run DMC. And then Ice Cube comes in, well, you don't stop. And you know, yeah, man, that was big around that time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In the whole night. But me and Jinx was always good friends. So I went down to Jinx's house one day and he had his friend there, you know what I'm saying, named Norris, who was an editor for Fox 5. And that's when Steve Harvey had his big time show. Yeah. Right? So Norris was like, Flav, come on, you gotta come with me down, man. You gotta come with me down to the show, man. Come down with me to the show. So I ended up going down to the big time show with Norris and everything. They put me in the audience and the whole nine. The cameras came showing me. Next thing you know, my phone started ringing off the hook. People back at home, yo, Flav, we see you, da-da-da-da-da, on the Steve Harvey Big Time show. That was my first TV appearance ever in LA. Next thing you know, I landed on Bernie Mac's show. And on Bernie Mac's show, I did a golfing episode with him, Monique, the comedian Monique. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Monique. And it was a great episode, you know what I'm saying? Then I ended up doing Mad TV with Ari Spears.
Ari's is brilliant.
Yeah, Ari Spears. He was just a funny guy, man.
He was just here.
He's always a funny motherfucker. And that's my man, you know what I'm saying?
Me too.
So that was my third TV appearance. My fourth TV appearance was Damon Wayans, My Wife and Kids. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So
you got more work than me, just showing up.
I gotta
get a Rihanna.
I had a friend named Sherry, and she worked over at the VH1 offices. She was working with VH1 around that time. So she took me down to the VH1 offices and everything. Everybody had cubicles around that time, right? I went up in the office and I went to everybody's cubicle and I was fucking with everybody in the whole place. I stirred the place up. The Wire must have got back to Chris Abrego and Mark Cronin, and they wanted to meet me. So it was a lady named Laurie Muslow that walked me over to Mark Cronin and Chris Abrego, and they were doing this show called The Surreal Life. So around that time, to me, Surreal Life was a show for has-beens. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? People that was cold. Vanilla Ice, he was on the first Surreal Life. You know what I'm saying? But he got cold. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And the whole nine. Then the second Surreal Life show was MC Hammer, who used to be hot, but he got real cold. You know what I'm saying? In the whole nine. So I'm like, yo, man, I'm not trying to be on this show because I'm not cold. I'm still hot. I'm Public Enemy. Right. You feel me? So they said, yo, man, listen, ask Hammer how he did after the show. So I called MC Hammer, and I was like, yo, Hammer, yo, man, I know you did this show, man, but yo, do you think I should do this show, Hammer, man? He was like, yo, man, I really, really think you should do this show because a lot of good things happened for me after the show, this and that, and this. So I said, you know what? Fuck it. I want to get on TV. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. I said, thanks, Hammer. So it was MC Hammer that talked me into really doing Surreal Life 3.
And did you see that spike for you professionally? Did you see that spiked up? Did you see that uptick in your career after the show?
I didn't know that it was going to really be what it turned out to be. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, this is some real interesting shit. They're going to put me in the house with 6 other celebrities that I don't know, and they want to see if we could all live together. You know what I'm saying? So when I first walked in the house, I seen this little lady, and I'm like, oh, I know you. I know you. Because they don't let you know who you're going to be around.
Oh, really?
They don't let nobody know. It's all a surprise. So I'm like, oh, I know you. I know you. I know you. And I love this lady. You know who it was? Charo from Love Boat.
Yo, Charo's like a musician like you. Charo's no joke. She can play flamenco guitar.
Coochie, all the way to the bank.
Like the #1 flamenco guitarist in the world.
Yeah, that's right. And what do you think?
Was she still a little fine?
Huh? Man, Charo's always fine as hell.
Yeah.
To this day, she's still fine as hell. I don't care what nobody. Yeah, where you think the ladies got the name for their vagina, the coochie?
Coochie.
From Charo.
Yeah.
Charo is the one that nicknamed the vagina the coochie.
Charo's
you know
always
what I'm saying? Yeah, coochie. That's where the girls got their name for the vagina from they coochie.
So you and Charo hit it off right away.
Yeah. So then the second person that came in, this guy had he was a little big, fat face and everything, and I'm like, yo, man, I know you from somewhere. He was like, come on, Flav, you don't remember me? And the reason why I didn't remember him is because he had gained weight. It was Jordan Knight from New Kids on the Block, the lead singer.
It's like, does he ever get cold though? He's like New Kids on the Block.
Nah,
I don't get cold,
man. So check it out. So I'm gonna take you through the process.
Yeah,
right?
Okay, my bad.
So then the fourth person that came in, I didn't really know this guy. You know what I'm saying? But it was my boy Dave Coulier from Full House.
Brilliant.
And stuff, right? And then this girl comes in who I never saw before ever. And it happened to be a girl named Ryan Starr who was on American Idol, and she got booted off. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Me and her, we didn't kick it at all, man. You know what I'm saying? In the whole nine. And then the last person that came in was this tall fucking lady with these glasses, and she had this swag, and she just knew she was the shit. And I'm like, I seen this lady before. I know her. It was Bridget Nielsen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So my energy on that show was crazy. You know what I'm saying? And Bridget Nielsen, you know, when we started doing the show after a while, she would walk around naked.
Yeah.
No clothes. You know what I'm saying? And her hygiene wasn't all that great. You know what I'm saying? And one day she went to reach for my face, to touch my face. I smacked her hand down.
I remember that.
And I said, yo, I don't want nobody touching my face. She said, oh, you don't want no one touching your face? I said, no. Yo, man, she smacked the shit out of me. I'm like, oh, shit, this fucking lady's crazy. I said, Flav, if you want a career on TV or whatever, you better make friends with this lady and shit. You know what I'm saying?
I remember this exact moment you're talking about. Like, she got turned on by it.
Yeah, we ended up falling in love.
Yeah.
We ended up falling in love.
But you got to be careful, you know.
Yeah, because I didn't know who she was. You know what I'm saying?
That's Red Sonja, man.
But we ended up falling in love in the hot tub and all of this stuff. And then
we all in America watched.
And then after the show ended, right? Mm-hmm. We were staying at the Mondrian. And when the pool closed down that night, me and Bridget were the only ones that could swim around in the pool. The producers got a whiff of that. And they decided to give me and Bridget our own show.
Flavor of Love?
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. It was called Strange Love.
Strange Love.
But I had, the original title was supposed to be Mad Love. They changed it to Strange Love.
They always fuck it up.
You know what I'm saying? In the whole night. So anyway, just to let you know too, that Surreal Life, first of all, Surreal Life 3 was a #1 show.
Of course it was. You were on it.
Then me and Bridget did Strange Love. Strange Love 1 was #1. Strange Love 2 was #1. Strange Love 3 was #1. So when Bridget went back to Italy to be with her family, that's when I learned about Bridget too. I learned about Bridget on the last day that we did Strange Love, because I didn't know that she was a actress and everything. Her first movie was Red Sonja. She was in Beverly Hill Cop movies and shit. Yeah. You know what
Cobra.
I'm saying? Yeah, man. And I didn't know this, man. And I'm like, oh shit, this is who I've been falling in love with all of this time. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So the producers asked me, well, Flav, what are you gonna do for love now? I said, I don't know. They said, well, have you ever heard of The Bachelor? I said, yeah, I heard of The Bachelor, but I don't never watch it. They said, good. What we want to do, Flav, we want to take you, put you in a house with 25 girls, and all you have to do is narrow it down to one. I'm like, huh? I'm like, that sounds kind of strange. How am I going to do that? They said, Flav, it'll just take a few weeks for you to just narrow it down to one, this and that, and this. So that's when Flavor of Love 1 was created. You know,
I watched all these shows,
and
dude.
that year I picked Hoops. Right? That year I picked Hoops, which was #1 show. Right? Then Flavor of Love 2 came around. Right? And I picked Delicious. And Flavor of Love 2 was the biggest show ever that I did, because it brought in 7.5 million viewers.
On VH1, that's
and
crazy.
Right now, to this day, even though VH1 ain't existing no more, but they've never ever seen those numbers.
No, that's crazy
again.
numbers for VH1.
And then Flavor of Love 3 came through. You know what I'm saying? It didn't do as good as Flavor of Love 2, but it still brought in some good numbers, but it was a #1 show. So when I left television at #1. I never left at #2. So that's why everybody today still gravitates towards me as if like I did these Flavor of Love shows last year. Yeah. People still binge watch them today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In the whole nine. And I mean, I'm honored and I'm grateful, because if it wasn't for all of the people that's watching my Flavor of Love, I would not be the Flavor Flav that I am to society. You know what I'm saying? I was already famous before television. You know what I'm saying? But I did get a little cold because we were off the circuit for a minute.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into television.
So listen, now we got to wrap up. You guys are touring with Guns N' Roses, which is like, I can't imagine a better show.
Oh my God, I can't wait for this. Yeah, Public Enemy, Guns N' Roses, over in Europe, it's going down for real. Yeah.
I love you, dude. I'm glad we're boys. Thanks for coming through,
Yo,
boy.
Thank you.
My man, Flavor Flav. Go get a ticket and go hit him up on Instagram.
Go get a ticket. Hit the drum and get wicked.
Back again.
Y'all can come with us and y'all can kick it. Hey, yo, Jay, thanks for having me on your show. You know what I'm saying?
You're a dream guest.
And guess what?
What?
I got to come back again.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I think we should have touched on some bases that we didn't touch on today.
Yeah, we got a lot to get to.
We are not done. So this is only part 1.
That rhymes to my man.
Just remember this, y'all. This is only a part one. Tell everybody, man. You better tell everybody. You better tell everybody that this is a part one.
This is part one of me and Flavor Flav on More Stories, and I can't wait to read the comments on Instagram because this is a positive crowd. You're gonna see. And you get to watch Flav playing concert piano in Paris. I saw that shit.
Yes, sir.
You're good.
Yo, not only that. But I even got to play the piano at the White House.
We got to get to that. We got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Flavor Flav, #1.
Jay Mohr's my uncle.